This is the Outrigger Tour.
Well, we're here once again with John Buckheim with Keys Fresh Seafood. Longtime friend, longtime customer. Runs our Swamp Eye submersible lights on a lot of his personal boats, as well as just commercial boats in general down here that do work for him and sell lobster to him. We already had a little podcast about talking about the business side of things, but we wanted to dive off into some of the personal matters of how John kind of got involved with the lobster business. He's been doing it since he was a young kid, and he's been alleged as a Casita Mafia member, or I guess the ringleader. I don't know. We'll
wasn't
see.
Quite the. We got ourselves in a little bit of trouble.
That's a cross you must bear, huh?
Yeah. Basically, I grew up on an island down here. It was the norm. How you caught lobster was, you could go catch them under a rock, but if you happened to put a piece of metal in an area that was about 6 inches off the bottom, that in an area where there were no other rocks, then you've created a habitat, and it's this perfect. Yeah. And as these lobsters migrate across the Keys, they're walking through all this grass and everything, and they find this perfect little shelter. And like your average rock might have a dome like this, and it's got one area that's the right height. Our whole thing was the right height. So, it was a way of life. It's everyone did it. It was perfectly legal, and it wasn't looked down on at all. But then as the Keys got a little more populated, people started throwing trash in the water, and people were throwing bathtubs and stuff out, and it was just getting a little ridiculous. There was quite a bit of stuff being thrown off at docks, basically. So we're move on a few years, we're commercially lobster diving, and we've built a ton of these artificial reefs.
Now, before we get ahead, what type of structures are these? And because, like, you were telling us the story last night, and I was blown away by it. But like for the average guy, they're thinking when they hear reef, they're thinking coral.
So
you got to explain it for them.
We started out. There was evolution to the whole thing as well. It started with car hoods. Everybody would do car hoods because they were already the right shape and domed, right. and you just bend the corners down a little bit, and we got a little more advanced, and we'd take a truck and run over the edge of the car hood and crease the whole thing on a 4x4, so they were a little more perfect. Mm-hmm. And then those would rust away, so we want something a little heavier, and they'd blow away in storms and stuff. So then we started buying old dumpsters and cutting them up with torches and using the edges, and those were sweet, but they would eventually rust away too, and they weren't very transportable on the boat. And so lots of evolutions of trial and error later, we'd come up with this guardrail and I-beam system that worked out pretty damn good, and we got hooked up with a guy who was replacing a bunch of highway, and we got the direct connection to all the material, and we were
had the honky hookup on some I-beam.
So we were building these lobster reefs, and it was all good, and we had a great thing going, and all my friends were going off to college to do this or do that, and I'm looking at them like, guys, I can make a lot of money doing this.
Yeah.
And but it was legal to build it, it was legal to dive it, it was legal to sell the lobsters, everything was good to go. It was never even a thought in our minds, and then all of a sudden one year it comes out, hey, these artificial reefs are going to be illegal, you're not allowed to dive them anymore. Like, what? Like, this is how we make a living. I've invested every penny I've made into buying more material to build more of these. Like, I have a license to sell lobster that I dive. Like, that's
my livelihood.
This is what I do. And but it's a $142 ticket if you get caught. Well, we're like, well, damn, hate to be made a criminal, but at least it's a small ticket. And,
price of doing business.
And it is what it is. So, and no one really seemed to care. The local cops didn't care. Nobody cared. It was just everyone knew it was those guys dive reefs, and they built them, and they have the right to them, and that's how it's always been. And
they've put the sweat equity into it, and they're reaping the benefits.
So we would go diving, and we kept on. We continued when it became illegal to do so, but it was a slap on the wrist if you got in any trouble, and everything else about it was legal. So we figured, we're good. We were young and dumb, but we figured we were good. And we were making a lot of money, and we were making it fast, and it was good. It was a lot of work. It was hard-ass work. People didn't realize how much work went into it and how much time and effort went into it, but we were catching a lot of lobster.
I know I hate to say this and ask, but figuratively, Like what? I mean, because it blew my mind. Like, let's just talk about.
I
you
was
can
making
lowball it if you want.
I was
to,
making more than doctors and lawyers.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, there you go.
And it was fast. I mean, we'd go on a 30-minute boat ride and make $5,000.
Right.
And we were kids.
And it was legal. It was legal just the week before.
It was
Right.
legal the week before,
Yeah.
and it was. I mean, we continued for years on afterwards, but it was a $142 ticket, and
Right,
we'd never even gotten the $142 ticket. Like it just. We continued on business as usual. Like this is a bullshit law, and we're going to continue doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And no one ever thought nothing of it. And then all of a sudden, there was a little more heat from the local Marine Patrol. Were kind of giving us a little more and following us around a little bit. But still, like they had to take a picture of you diving this spot. And if you see a boat coming miles away, you rev the engine up or whatever, the guys swim off the spot. It was a non-issue. So
it wasn't like there was FWC, guy sitting down there with a scuba tank sitting on the reef waiting for you to come down there and.
it got to that.
Did it? Okay.
That happened.
Okay.
But we saw him coming from miles away, and we drove off the spot. And when he jumped in the water, I was down there doing sand angels in the bottom, and I was catching. I had my bag of lobster or whatever, but I wasn't catching any at the moment. We seen him coming, and
you had to be 30 feet.
30 feet. But I mean, I was 3 miles at this point. But like, 30 feet, I could swim that in 10 seconds.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So it sounds like a BS law from the beginning.
It was.
It sounded like when you were explaining it to us, for me, not knowing anything about diving lobsters or the lobster trade, for someone to say, hey, you can't do this no more. But if you do, we're going to fine you $142.
Yeah.
And the way that you can be legal is you can be 30 foot from it, catching all the lobsters you want. But you can't be.
Yes, but I mean, it was new to them too, and they were
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to control it. And it's
Sounds like they were just trying to stop people from dumping stuff, like you said.
They were trying to stop people from dumping stuff,
Right.
and there was also the jealousy with some of the other fishermen that saw how fast we were bringing in money, but didn't see the work that went into it. So,
Right.
because we'd already, the big trap boats take traps in and out, you see the work. The traps are stacked on the side of the road. Once we put our stuff out there, it's a ton of work to put it out there and build it
Yeah.
and just maintain it and all, but it's out of sight, out of mind. People don't see it. We go in a small skiff. They think, oh, this is unfair. Like, I got a
Right.
big boat. He's got a little boat. His boat's full. My boat's empty. So
Yeah.
there was jealousy.
And
And they looked at it like a lobster trap has a tag on it. The state can charge you for that, so that they could get their chunk. With the diving, there was no way to control it because they couldn't see it. So
Yeah.
it was really not that it was a problem. It was that they didn't know how to enforce it or control it,
Regulate
and that
it.
somebody was making money and they didn't get their piece. So basically what ended up happening is 16 of my buddies and I all eventually slowly got picked up on federal cases for conspiracy to harvest lobster off an artificial habitat. And if we'd gotten caught diving in an artificial habitat, it would have been a $142 ticket. But since we didn't get caught and we thought about it with a couple of friends, it's then conspiracy, and they made it into a federal charge, and
Yeah.
a bunch of us got in all sorts of trouble, and we were on the front page, all sorts of newspapers and TVs and this and that, and then we got sentenced to real prison time. And they were trying to make an example out of us because it's such a hard thing to enforce, and they wanted to just scare everyone else from doing it. So a bunch of us, and some people started talking, and they told on a bunch of their other friends, and a few of us kept our mouths shut, and it was over lobster and a little piece of metal that they hid under. It wasn't fucking crime, It wasn't,
Yeah, you wasn't breaking and entering
Yeah,
or
there was-
selling dope or
yeah,
anything
there was
like that.
nothing like that. So whatever. But we ended up all going away and going on little vacations, and it was interesting. But I was telling these guys yesterday, I was in Atlanta, USP Atlanta, which is like one of the gnarlier places you can be, and the intake guard looked at the paperwork and looked up at me and said, NOAA, like the weatherman? And I said, well, kind of, but they do something a little different. And he says, what did you do? And I said, well, I caught some lobster under a piece of metal instead of under a rock. And he says, what? You're like,
This is a guy at a federal pen that's probably seen
Yeah,
murderers
he's seen
and,
everybody.
and
Yeah.
cartel members.
yeah,
and
he's
everything
seen
else.
everybody. And here's me with a surfer haircut, young kid with I caught a bunch of lobsters, sir. You know,
What are you in for?
Yeah.
I was the lobster king of Key West.
yeah. I mean, not
What
even
was the name? What was the name?
So in the newspaper, they called us the Casita Mafia, and they called it like, what did they call it? But basically, yeah, they tried to make it into organized crime because there was multiple of us, and we would talk on a VHF radio like any fisherman would. So like, it was definitely blown out of proportion. Like, we were definitely doing something that was illegal, but it wasn't like every other country in the world harvests lobster with artificial reefs. I'm actually now on a board here that's talking about the reintroduction of artificial reefs as a viable way to do it here now. So like, it's come full circle.
And talk about a little bit so the sheer volume of what you guys had for artificial reefs, or the traps, or however you want to call them,
The reefs,
But
yeah.
then also, in addition to that, how it affected the other.
So some of the lobster trappers were jealous of the amount we were catching with the artificial reefs, but they had their traps in the same area as we had the reefs. Well, we only go to that reef once or twice a year and take the lobster. The rest of the year, it's holding lobster, and they each night walk out and go into those traps. So these guys were jealous that we were catching all this lobster out of the same area, and they felt that we were taking it from them.
Right.
But when we got in trouble, we had to go out and remove all the spots that we'd built, which was a tragedy to the local environment. We'd built all this habitat, and there was baby groupers and baby everything on all these different things. A lot of habitat was destroyed.
Yeah, you were saying you'd pick up one of them things, and then you'd have other fish coming in and just eating everything in like 10, 20 seconds.
No, I mean, the porpoises actually figured it out when we were removing all the spots. The porpoises figured out what we were doing, and they'd follow me to each spot and eat all the fish that were living underneath it as we removed it. And the government made us remove all these great reefs.
Right, yeah.
But, I mean, I understand that they couldn't leave them. It was complicated. But, basically, so the same guys that were jealous of what we were doing after we pulled all this habitat out of the water, now the area that they trapped in didn't have as many lobster. So now their catch went way down, and now they're saying, well, damn, I probably shouldn't have been the one calling the law on these guys. You know?
Narking y'all out.
Yeah.
And so now you guys are kind of talking about, rebuilding the reef and figuring out a way to.
We're working hard on an artificial reefs program for fish more, for the Florida Keys. We have so many tourists coming here and so many people, user groups in the water, and so many people putting pressure on the natural bottom that the only answer is to build artificial habitat.
Yeah.
Like, you look at Louisiana, they have the best fishery in the world, and it's based off all the oil rigs. That's not because they have a great fishery. It's because they put oil rigs there, and it became a great fishery.
Right, because of the habitat.
It goes all the way down to like a bass pond. How do you make a good bass pond? You throw Christmas trees in it. It's common through the entire world. All of South America, if you eat mahi at a restaurant, it's somebody put a fad out there and they went and caught them off where they put a rope and a bunch of palm fronds tied to it, so they knew where the mahi would be the next day.
Around the structure.
This is, and every lobster you eat at Red Lobster or anywhere else that came from the Bahamas or Honduras came from under an artificial reef. Every single one of them. Like, those guys don't. That's where they catch them. That's how it's done. But yes, I think eventually it will come around here, and the writing's on the wall. The traps are bad for the bottom. The traps move in storms. The traps bounce across the bottom and kill coral. Sea turtles get tangled up in the ropes and buoys. And I'm not here to bash anybody's business or livelihood or anything like that. And I participate in these fisheries. But the artificial reefs are a better way. Hands down.
Absolutely.
It's just figuring out how to control it and keep people within the limits of, just because it's underwater and it's hard to monitor. So as long as you have a good monitoring system in place, it's a very viable way to do it. And we're working back towards that. And I think I'll see it in the next 10, 15 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. It's just getting through the government policy, and everyone you talk to about it's like, why don't we do that? And good question,
Yeah, exactly. You would think it would just be, like I said, a no-brainer for every other species that's out there, because how many lobsters are we talking underneath one of those artificial reefs?
Our lobsters like to group together. I mean, I've seen we're allowed 250 lobsters diving per day, and I've hit my limit on one spot.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And, left 30 or 40 there. And,
right. Because you didn't want to go over the legal limit.
We hit our limit.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
And that's one time a year you're going after that.
Once or twice a year. I might go back to it a month or so in if we don't get any storms, but usually once a year.
Yeah.
And so it's providing habitat for those animals year round, plus all the baby groupers and snappers and everything else that's there. So it's, I mean, it was, like I tell everybody, we did something illegal. We didn't do something wrong. You know,
yeah.
And it's not, the way I understand it, it's not like hunting over bait. I mean, you're putting a shelter there to keep them from predators, and that's why they're flocking to it. So it's not like these lobsters are just coming because you put a scent in the water. They're already coming by there.
They're coming by there anyways.
And
You're giving them,
this is a nice home.
All you're doing
looking
is
for a rock.
giving them a perfect hotel room with a comfortable bed.
Exactly.
You know, like it's a. They'll stop, hold up there for a little bit, eat and feed, and they're free. There's nothing keeping them there.
Right.
They are free to come and go as they please, and they do. They keep moving. If you don't get to them on the right time, they continue on.
Yeah.
Like they tried to say that we were stopping a migration. I can assure you, we did not stop any migration. Those things naturally migrate, and they're going to migrate no matter what you do.
Yeah,
you
their
know?
biological clock tells them
Like
when
if
to
I
move.
put them in this pond and it's the night for them to walk, they all walk in circles in there all night long.
Yeah.
They can sense
That's
it,
crazy.
and it's in a tank. They're not getting anywhere, but they are walking all night.
They just have to
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
crazy.
So now, fast forward to the bully netting stuff. You know,
Yeah,
now
so basically we got in trouble for the diving to the lobster. We all went away. Some of us didn't do the stand-up thing and now don't live here anymore and told on all their friends. And
Yeah.
some of us kept it together and came back home and continued life as, you know, continued on. But it kind of set us in a good direction, in my opinion, because the local law enforcement realized we kind of got the raw end of the deal, in my opinion. Kind of like, this is a bit extreme, the amount of the sentence compared to the crime. We were guilty, but it was unheard of.
Well, and let's reiterate the fact. It was a $142 ticket.
Right.
And you never had a violation.
Never had a
right?
violation.
That's
Never
my
once.
thing. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges here, but I've had a speeding ticket more than $142.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
And I
we
endangered another human being by going 15 miles over the speed limit.
we absolutely knew that it was illegal, but it was never viewed as a big deal or viewed as anything actually wrong. And it was just like, well, this is a fucked up law, and they're going to fix it in a year or so. You know, like
Like we don't even need to play by these rules.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. I mean, it was young and dumb, but it was still. I don't regret any of it. It was a lot of fun. I really like, you know, we got to see some cool shit. And
Right.
building that stuff, there was nothing more enjoyable than going back and looking at what you built and then analyzing how it worked and saying, oh, I should have made this an inch lower, or I should have made this way, or this came loose from the bottom and I got to reattach it this way, or I got to move this over here. There's too many grouper in this area and they're scaring the lobster, and I got to, you know, there was definitely learning curves with that as well, and it was a hunt. You know, you put something in a spot and see if it works, and see if am I going to hit a migration? Like, are they going to come through here, and am I going to catch here? And it was awesome. There was pride in it. Like you took pride in your work.
And you figured out what was the best type of shelter to build, and tell them
and
about,
making them hurricane proof.
That's what I was fixing to go. I was going to say, tell them about how you guys were driving the stuff. If you've never been down to the Keys and seen how hard this bottom is, and then like y'all's arch nemesis is the hurricane.
Oh yeah, our hurricanes come through.
Hurricane proof, and
They'll take all our stuff, and we didn't want to lose any gear once we got it. You know, it's all out there, and we were working with not grandfathered in, but like we'd built a lot of this stuff before it was illegal, so we didn't want to lose it because it was a big fines if you got caught building. Diving, it was the $142 ticket. Building it was like you're going to lose your boat and probably $100,000 or something.
Oh gosh!
So like the building, we tried to keep using everything that we already had out there, not lose anything. So during a hurricane, stuff would blow around. We didn't want that to happen, so we started rebarring all our stuff into the bottom. And we were taking the rebar and chopping it at a hard angle and going down there and hammering it into the bottom and pinning the spots in place. And once we got that figured out, you know, we were not hurricane proof, but we were pretty hurricane ready.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I know you showed us yesterday on your map of all your spots that you guys had marked, and then like your buddy would have their stuff pinged in a different color, and I guess it was kind of an honor among thieves kind of thing. Like you didn't dive somebody else's stuff that they worked their butt off for.
There was
People
definitely.
didn't dive
I mean,
your
there was
stuff,
people
you
that
know?
did and people that didn't, and I mean, it was any industry like that. There was a few bad apples, but we generally tried to respect each other's stuff, and it was a small group of guys that tried to work together. We were all friends. There was a few of them that were probably still doing it, but it was it was a cool experience, and it was a cool group of guys. It sucked when it all fell apart because it really turned a lot of people, like, you know, friends became
enemies.
and
I'm sure, man.
there's a lot of friends lost in that
Well,
situation.
you start talking about a year in a federal pen, like that's some serious business. I mean,
I had a guy who I considered my second father and like a family.
Mm-hmm.
He wore a wire on me and installed a tracking device in my boat.
geez,
This guy taught me everything.
right.
And he got more time than I did.
Was he just trying to shave off time off of him?
He was trying to shave off time, but he didn't even do it right. Like he didn't even get any time off. He did more time than I did, and like
he worked hard for nothing.
yeah, he burned me for no reason. And I threw him a surprise birthday party, and the only part of that wasn't recorded was us saying surprise, because we surprised him, and he went and put his wire on, and then came and recorded us sitting around talking about, hey, well, you know, we had fun. Well, too bad we'll never get to do that again. And he recorded the whole damn thing.
God.
Oh, I mean, it was baited, and I mean, they had me on the wire. There was I never got caught with a lobster, not one, but they had me talking.
Right.
And I was talking to somebody who I considered my best friend, like
like your second father.
the guy who taught me how to spearfish, taught me how to dive,
And
taught me how to work. So.
Just to drive the fact home, you were thinking it was a BS law that's a $142 ticket. It's
Yeah, if we ever
do, I think there's going to be a federal wiretap over $142 citation.
never.
I would have never thought that.
Never,
You know what I mean?
never.
That's
But
crazy.
then they jumped out of the bushes with, I mean, when they arrested me, they came with, I don't know, 17, 18 agents with face paint on and fucking big full-size guns and stuff. I'm like, you guys already sent me a target letter saying you wanted me to come in and talk. I refused it. My lawyer already contacted you guys and said, well, I'll turn myself in if you ever get an indictment. Like,
Yeah.
what are you guys doing here at 10 o'clock at night with face paint on? What the
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're screaming, get on the ground. I'm like, I just came in from a fishing trip. I was on my big boat. I backed into the dock, and their agents come swarming out of everywhere screaming to get on the ground. I said, I'm not getting on the ground. Like, I said, you want the handcuffs in front of me or behind me? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not.
Let's be civil here.
And
Yeah.
why did you not just call me and tell me to turn myself in? Like I already told you I would if you ever actually got the paperwork. They wanted to make a big scene out of it.
Right.
You know, it was and I mean, I think that whole mentality has changed too. Like the new agents that are down here are a lot more realize that this is a small town, and it doesn't go down like that around here. You
Right.
know, this is a small place, and there's no need for this type of activity. You know.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool story.
But
though.
it was cool because it made me really dial in on doing everything the right way.
Absolutely.
And then because I didn't have a choice, you get caught doing something twice, you're an idiot, you know, like
Yeah.
So we made everything right, and that really jump started this business because we were so worried about dotting all our I's and crossing our T's that it grew.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would have gotten there if we weren't so hyper cautious. Like my poor business partner in this business got just drug into it with me. Like he had nothing to do with the lobster, had never done anything wrong whatsoever. And all of a sudden there's agents at our boat and everything. And he's like, what the fuck, man? You know, like,
What you got me
what
into?
did you
Yeah.
get me into here? And like, but
I put a car hood in the bay. I'm sorry.
yeah. So, but
Yeah.
it all worked out for the best in the end. And, but it was definitely a wild experience, and one I get asked about pretty regularly. And
Oh, I'm sure.
it got
You're
a
local
lot.
legend.
It got
Yeah,
a lot
absolutely.
of publicity. Put it that way. It was, front page of the Miami Herald. I had family members in Oregon calling me like, "You were just on the front." Like Channel 7 News, like, and they made such a big deal out of it too. It was like the entire Florida Keys is a wildlife refuge for birds, and then they put it on the TV like these guys were poaching lobster out of a national wildlife sanctuary, and it's like, no, we're allowed to catch lobster here. We weren't like,
Yeah.
they made it sound like we were, doing something a little bit more extreme than what we were. But,
Right. Blew it up a little bit.
Yeah,
there.
but
sensationalized it. I
Yeah.
guess
Right.
you'd call it.
But we were catching a lot of lobster and doing it pretty quickly.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
now, do you still dive for lobster? Or do
I
you,
still have a dive permit. I mostly doing the bully netting with everything else I got going on. I go for the first couple days of season. Like I'll dive the 6th and 7th and 8th maybe, and then if I see something good bully netting where I'm like, oh, I see a bunch down there deep, I'll go get the dive boat and come back and get them. But I'm personally kind of ruined from doing it the right way.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
how good it was.
Yeah, so for me to go from doing it the way that we did it to swimming looking for every little individual hole, I got better things to do with my time.
Right.
So,
You'd rather bully net
I mean,
out there in your captain's
I still
chair.
really enjoy diving, but if I'm diving, I'm going to spear grouper. And,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I still dive lobster, definitely, if there's a reason.
Right.
If I can't catch them with the bully net, I'm getting in the water. But at the same time, like, it's frustrating
Right.
because I dove lobster the productive way for so
Yeah.
long, and I know how to do it in a financially the right way.
Yeah.
So to go back to that, I'm perfectly allowed to. That was like one of the things when we got in trouble. They were trying to like ban me from being able to. So I talked to the judge and basically was like, "This is all I know. Like, don't take that away." And I think that's why we got time, because we didn't want to be banned from the water. I think it was kind of a one or the other. But I'm glad I went the way I went.
Right.
And yeah, no, it's an interesting past story.
Yeah.
Well, it's just the season on on everything. That's what makes you, like you said, to stay on the straight and narrow and be so adamant on keeping everything legal. And just like here, everything's clean and straight up as
Absolutely.
good as it can be. And, because
And I mean,
you've
now-
been there, done that.
Yeah, no,
so-
it's that's
And-
what I tell everybody. I said, once you hit a certain point, like the local cops will come around, the fish cops will come around and, "Oh, do you know of anything going on?" I said, "Listen, if you've bought your permits and you've bought your boats and you're several $100,000 invested into this operation, you're not going to break any rules because it doesn't make sense."
No, it's just
It's the
Yeah.
people that are not invested, the people that are me when I was young. It was.
Yeah,
I
you don't have a lot to lose.
I got a $10,000 boat and I can make that in a day. What? Now I have all this to lose. I don't have no reason to do anything wrong. You
Yeah.
know, it's,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to go out there and pick up $1 million, but I could lose $1 million for picking up an extra $100.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
once you get that mentality, it's not hard to stay on this
no,
right side of the law.
it's easy.
Absolutely.
So and we're allowed to. I mean, we have all the licenses to do everything. So it's. I'm not like that restricted.
Yeah, and you guys with your commercial license now, what you can do 250?
250 per boat per night.
Yeah, and that's
And I mean, if
awesome.
we
So
did that on every boat, we're doing great. You
Yeah.
know, no complaints.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's a killer story, man. So, what else do we want to talk about here, Trevor? I'm going to leave it on you here.
Well, I guess I just wanted to kind of hear that story firsthand. And
Well, we were talking last night about how long I'd been bullying it, and I said, well, I would have been bullying it in a lot longer, but it was hard to convince me that going out and searching the whole ocean at night for lobster in a random goose hunt,
Yeah.
or I can go to the spot where they're at. Like,
That I put
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
back,
And I know
back to the
there's-
whole efficiency thing,
Yeah.
keeping everything going smooth.
yeah.
Yeah, I know there's 200 right here.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
why do I need to go spend all night
Yeah.
looking for 200 when we can get
Yeah.
this over in 30 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the mentality at the time.
Wow, that's something else, man. That's crazy though, but that's a good example for especially younger kids that are running and gunning and
Absolutely. Oh, yeah,
and think
no.
that some of these laws are just fly by night crap that like you said, who would ever thought conspiracy?
Oh, it was like
that's
it was the craziest thing. Like nobody, everyone in town, like the judges and the lawyers and everything was like, "What? This is."
That's our federal government, though.
Yeah,
Sometimes
no,
they get crazy. I mean, not to bash. I mean, there's a lot of good guys, especially in
are.
fish and wildlife, and a lot of guys that are in it for the right reasons, for the conservation reasons. But you hear something like that, and you're just like, man, how did this come across someone's desk that had any common sense?
I think that the prosecutor was very gung ho, and he's known for that, and that's the nicest way I can put it.
Right.
And the agents were more so doing their job. One of them was a cop. One of them was like he was a jerk.
Yeah.
One of them was chasing he was trying to climb the ladder. So he was trying to get a high profile case. And I'm not mad at those guys. You know what I mean? They were doing their job and I was doing mine.
Yeah. It's their job to catch you
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you're breaking the law, and I
Exactly.
understand. But without any prior violations,
No,
that seems very.
It was definitely above and beyond, and it was
Yeah.
definitely make an example because it was something that they couldn't enforce.
Right.
So they realized that, and they said, well, there's no way we just spent however many, I'm sure they spent a lot of money following me around. So,
Right.
it didn't make sense for them to go follow everyone around. And they weren't seizing that much stuff. I mean, they took pickup trucks and stuff from us. They came and took all our shit, but it wasn't, they didn't make money on us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a very cool story.
Yeah.
It is. Well, thanks for sharing with us,
Yeah,
John.
no, that was-
Appreciate you having us down here at your seafood market, and we've learned a lot. And thank you for everything that you've done with us. And
Thank you for making the lights. I mean, those things they've changed our whole, like I said, we got away from the generators, and that's some people go deer hunting.
yeah,
I go bully netting.
yeah, this is
And
your deer hunt.
it's the rest of the year I have 5 guys that rely on me. I'm on a boat, it's height, it's, everything matters real bad. Like if I make a wrong turn, it costs thousands of dollars. This is, I put $15 in gas in the boat. I go out by myself.
Right.
Nobody bothers me. I go drive around, stare in the light. I make a few $100s. It's my relaxing time. I'm still working my ass off, but it's my time to be alone.
Right.
And so that,
And like we were talking about last night, you can hear the frogs, you can hear the
Oh, yeah.
crickets,
You can hear
running
everything,
silent,
yeah.
you can hear, and you can
Those
actually
geckos.
enjoy it. Yeah, the
Yeah,
geckos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to listen for that.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. But like I said, I appreciate you guys coming down. I appreciate the product. And anybody who needs fresh seafood shipped to their house, check
Yeah.
us out. Keys Fresh Seafood.
Yeah. You guys are on Facebook, on
Facebook,
Instagram,
Instagram,
y'all's
website.
website,
Yep.
KeysFreshSeafood.com.
Yeah, Keys Fresh Seafood Market.
It's
right there.
KeysFreshSeafoodMarket.com. All right.
Awesome.
All righty.
Well, thank you, John. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
everything, dude.
Yes,
I've had
sir.
a ball.
Thank you,
Definitely.
sir. All righty. Well, we'll see you on our next podcast. This is kind of our kicking off the Outrigger tour. Grateful to be able to come down here and meet with John Buckheim of Keys Fresh Seafood. And thanks, Chuck, for helping me out host the podcast and
sir.
get this kicked off going.